Hi there, I'm Sarah Zarella, a portrait and wedding photographer and your host for Wedding Secrets Unveiled. This is a podcast where we cut through the complexity of wedding planning, leaving you with everything you need to know direct from the industry experts. If you want to simplify your wedding planning, while having fun, of course, you came to the right place. Join me while I guide you through your planning, starting from your engagement to your big day where you say, I do. After photographing for the past 18 years, I am sharing with you tips and tricks to cut through the excess noise because I believe from the moment you said yes, your planning experience should be a magical time in your life. Here you'll find episodes that are fun, stress-free, and straight to the point, with a fresh, honest take about the reality of what you really need to know about planning your perfect day. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Wedding Secrets Unveiled podcast, friends. Just a reminder, we release new shows bi-weekly every Thursday, so be sure to subscribe to our show if you want a new episode of fun wedding secrets to hit your downloads every other Thursday. With that said, I am so excited for today's show. Today I'm going to introduce you to Janina Messerlian from Baxter's Fine Jewelry. So you can guess what we'll be talking about today. Yes, diamonds and all things fine jewelry. Today's episode is not just for you ladies, but it's also for all the men out there. We'll be chatting about so many interesting topics to do with all things to do with jewelry. We will go over trends, gift ideas, a little background about diamonds, and of course, the engagement ring and the bands. We're also going to be answering some questions that a lot of your listeners sent in when we asked for information about what you wanted us to cover today. So stay tuned as we will be answering all of your questions. We will be unveiling the secrets and tips of fine jewelry and giving you advice on how to shop, what to think about when looking for wedding pieces, for gifts ideas and trends that are out there. So, have you decided on what type of diamond band, or have you even started thinking about what to give your spouse for your wedding day gift? Already married and listening for a friend planning a wedding? This is the perfect episode for you. This is a really nice podcast to help them or you think about gift options for not just for your wedding days, but also for anniversaries and days to come. So with that said, tune into my conversation with Janina and let's get frosted, as some would say. All right, well, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have you on. I know that this has been a long awaited episode. When we started this podcast, I always knew I wanted to have you guys on. It was just a matter of lining up our schedules. So I'm excited that you're here today.
Yes, timing's perfect.
Exactly. So with that said, can you tell our listeners who you are, who you serve, and what you do in your business?
Absolutely. So my name's Janina, as Sarah said, and my family owns Baxter's Fine Jewelry. So my grandparents, Bob and Gloria, started the business in about 1960, actually as a factory. So we started making different gold hoops, gold parts, things like that, and it was a full-blown warehouse. So if you don't know, we're located on Jefferson Boulevard in Warwick, which used to be like manufacturing central for Rhode Island. As manufacturing went overseas and a lot of that changed, my father, Paul, who is the current owner of the business, took things over and went more towards retail. We started in pearls. My grandparents and my dad used to go over to Japan and get pearls and everything. So that's really where we started. So we have engagement rings, wedding bands, watches, fine jewelry, fashion jewelry. I mean, literally you name it. Our motto is, if you can dream it, we can make it. So if we don't have it, we'll make it for you. And we kind of try to serve everyone as best we can.
Yeah, and if you're a native to Rhode Island, I think it's important that people do understand. I think we forget that Rhode Island was at one point the jewelry Mecca.
Yes. Yep.
And it's funny that you talk about that billboard because it was on Route 30, is it 37? The split over there?
Yeah, we have the two side by side. Yeah, we have a couple different ones that are really creative. We like to, advertise a little bit differently, so it catches your attention.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can dream it, they will create it.
Exactly.
I mean, so you created my band and my diamond. Actually, I worked with Paul, your dad.
Yep.
and it's exactly what you're advertising. I literally told my husband at the time, he was my boyfriend, exactly what I wanted, and they designed it.
Yeah.
Like they literally designed it from scratch. Like,
Right.
I mean, I saw the whole process.
Yeah, we have an in-house CAD team, so they'll literally take the sketch that we make, and believe me, I'm not an artist, so it doesn't have to be this perfect Picasso type of painting, but it's a little sketch on the back of a napkin or on a piece of paper, and they make it into a CAD, and then we take that and actually 3D print it. So we have a 3D printer in-house and we make a wax model. So you really get to see the detail in the actual size and everything like that before it's done. So with engagement rings and pendants and anything we can custom make. So it really gives us full range of ability to serve everyone.
Yeah, I'm so happy you explained that process because it's so funny. Like, as you were saying that, I literally took me back 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I saw the whole process because I remember, like, they drew it. Then I came back in and there was, like, a wax model, and then, I tried it on. And then next thing you know, there you go.
There you go.
It's there. So I guess, like, with that said, let's kind of just dive right in. Now that we're kind of talking about your family business and what you guys do, the one thing I want people to understand is there is, obviously you guys do wedding bands and diamonds and I mean, all sorts of fine jewelry, but there is a certain month of the year that you really hyper-focus on weddings. Can you explain what that month is and a little bit about it?
Definitely. So March is bridal month at Baxter's, and bridal month is really focused on all things bridal, hence the name. But we typically have a variety of trunk shows. We have different vendors, tons of raffles, discounted pricing on all things. So it's really a great time if you're not sure what you want to come and try things on because we have such an expanded selection of things to choose from, and it's the best pricing on wedding bands all year. I mean, we are very value priced throughout the entire year, but during this time, weddings are expensive. We want to give people an opportunity to get their dream ring at a price that they can afford. So having all those extra options and the raffles people love. So we work with like Pronzi Catering. I mean, we've done different photographers, different just everything that we can imagine, hair salons, all those kinds of things that come into a wedding because it's very full circle. So March is bridal month, and we will be having it again this year. We're very excited because it got cut short with COVID last year. So this year we'll be back and better than ever.
So for those listeners out there, what we'll have is the show notes, and we'll have a link on the show notes to Baxter's social media pages. So I'm sure that, mark your calendars around March, start following them.
Definitely.
And then, I personally have taken part and been there as a client and also a vendor. So it's a really fun month for those who are listening.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. So before we get into a ton of questions I have for you, because I'm just going to bombard you with questions because it's exciting, let's just give a quick little background for people about the 4 C's. Just a quick synopsis of it for people who are thinking about getting engaged.
Yeah. So the 4 C's are solely for like loose diamonds, and they kind of apply to finished jewelry too, but when you think of them, it's around loose. So you have your cut, color, clarity, and carat weight. Most of the time people think of carat weight first because they think, I want a 1 carat, I want a 2 carat, whatever that number is. But carat actually comes in everywhere in between. You can have a 1.37, you can have a 0.96, everything in between. Color is your presence or absence of yellow in your stone. So D is the highest color that you can go, and it goes all the way down to Z. So as you get lower in the letter, it gets a little bit warmer. So until J, we consider the near colorless range. So D, E, and F is colorless, and then G, H, I, J is near colorless. And that's typically what we see for engagement rings, but you can go anywhere that you want. Some people really like the warmer tones with yellow. There's no right or wrong. Clarity is presence or absence of inclusions. So inclusions are natural inside the stone. Think of them as birthmarks. So you have your internally flawless and flawless, which are very rare. And then you go to VVS, which means very, very slightly. VS, which is very slightly. SI, and then I1. So slightly included and included. But again, not good, better, best, just different. They're just rarer from one to the next. And those, until you hit I1, that's when you'll see something with your eye if you're really looking for it. But SI all the way up to flawless, you won't notice a difference with your eye, the naked eye anyway. Under 10 times power, you'll see some differences. But it's a really nice place to play for budget. If you want a bigger size and aren't as focused on clarity, like it's a nice area for a big range of prices.
I get a little chuckle actually as you're saying that because you say it's not – you can't see it with your eye. I'm so there's something wrong with me.
No.
I'm so hyper focused on it. I think because what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So like Dan and I will sit there with our macro lens and photograph these diamonds, because they're rings. We want to document it, and I will literally see like the inclusions, and so therefore I feel like I see it now to my naked eye. I think I really do.
Well, and everybody's different. So some people will pick those up like so quickly.
I do.
And so we go a little higher in clarity for them. And then some people notice color right away.
Right.
So then we go a little lower in clarity and higher in color. So that's why it's not better than the rest. It's just different. Everybody wants something different out of their stone.
I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what it is. Not that one's better than the other. It's just like you and you're different. Like I know for me when I was looking for my diamond, that I was hyper focused on that C.
Exactly.
Because I could see that.
Right. So for you, compromising in color would make more sense because you were going to notice clarity and that was going to bother you. But having a little, maybe like a G instead of a D didn't really matter. So that's what, and it's funny because I can tell you, okay, pick a GSI1, but that might not be what's right for you. So we really try to tailor each diamond presentation to what our customers are looking for. And we have a huge diamond inventory. We own all of our diamonds. We're there to invest in what we believe in. So we have a range of everything that's going to show you best value for the Cs that you end up choosing. But the last one before we go on to the questions is cut, which is the one I think everybody's a fan of because it means sparkle. So no matter what other Cs you pick, everybody wants their diamond to sparkle. And cut goes from excellent all the way down to poor. And it's a very small difference from very good to excellent. So I wouldn't get hung up on any of the Cs. I would look at the stone in person, see what it looks like to you, and if you like it, then great. But these Cs are things to take into consideration of value and price and where are you comfortable and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's what the diamond looks like to you because that's what you see every day, not the paperwork that comes with it.
I got a question for you now that we're on the Cs. How often do you see women involved with picking out their diamonds, considering – because, I know I was, maybe because I'm just visual and it's what I do. But I'm sure a lot of people aren't. But when you start to be involved, that's when you really start to learn a little bit about these. So I'm just curious, like how often, percentage-wise, you see women involved with picking out their diamond. Not their wedding engagement band, but their diamond.
I would say if they're there to pick out their setting, they end up picking out the diamond as well. Because if your partner is there with you, then they most likely want you involved because they want to get it right, which a lot of times we see, people coming in and they're like, I have no idea what she wants or I don't know what to pick. And so they'll bring their partner in and they come in and then they select what they want. And I just helped a couple the other day too. And, they were really sweet and he just wanted to get her exactly what she wanted. And we went through the diamonds together and she picked a couple that she was okay with. And then we had him select the final one. So there's always ways to do it where that element of surprise is still incorporated and the whole thing's not just picked by you because then you know what you're getting, but at the same time some people like that. So
it's kind of like The Bachelor when he comes out and he's like, here's all the rings and you pick which one you want.
Yeah. And the proposal is still the surprise, which is what I tell people because there are way more options than there used to be now. Literally anything you can think of we can make into an engagement ring. So it wasn't just the 6 or 7 that maybe our grandparents picked from and you had X, Y, and Z choices. It's endless. So it helps sometimes to have your partner there to ask them, what do you like?
Yeah, even for someone like myself who was completely involved with the entire process, ultimately I didn't know when I was going to get the ring, though.
Exactly. But he knew that you would like it when he proposed,
Exactly. And and like I said, the proposal, literally I told you, I went in, I saw the wax model. I saw everything, but I didn't know when I was getting it.
Yeah. So
that was the surprise.
Yeah, but a lot of people shop together now, more so than ever before, I would say.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
I figured it was more so than ever before.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. So one of the things that we did for this show is that we put and I think I'll start doing it more because a lot of people came back with questions. I put something out there yesterday saying that I'll be talking with you and what questions that people have. So one of the questions that someone had is they wanted to know a little bit about trends. Now, I understand that trends also is a personal choice, but they wanted to know a little bit about what trends you've seen and where the trends are going. I kind of already have my guess in my head because, I remember when Princess Cut was super popular, and then that went to the halo, and then it went to the solitaire. And then now what I'm finding is like irregular shapes, like ovals. So I'm curious, can you go over a little bit about the trends and then where you think it's going right now?
So I think, like you said, trends are a majority, but everybody still picks exactly what they want, and it's different for everyone. But it's funny you mentioned princess cuts because I've actually seen more requests for princess cuts lately than in previous years.
Oh, so it's coming back.
Yeah, I think so. But like you said, irregular shapes. So it used to be round is classic. Everybody wants a 1 carat round is what comes to mind when you think of a ring. But now we're getting more requests for longer shapes because if you look at your hand, right, so your fingers are long. You want to elongate your finger. You don't want something that makes it look shorter. And it's funny because it's like clothes. When you try one on, it looks so different than maybe what you pictured. So I really recommend trying a ring on before you deem that's the one you want, But longer shapes, so oval, marquee, pear, emerald, radiant, all those things that are elongating have been very popular. Round is always popular. That's never going to change. But I have seen a lot of requests for ovals. And marquees are funny because they used to be popular, I would say, 25 years ago or so, that football-shaped diamond. If you don't know what a marquee is, it kind of looks like a football, pointed on both ends. And people are coming back with that. Also, yellow gold is making a comeback. So it used to be really kind of your only choice was yellow gold or platinum, and platinum was so much more expensive that it didn't make sense. Gold has skyrocketed in the last year or so, and platinum has stayed kind of level. So platinum's still a little bit more expensive, but not as much. So the difference becomes, not huge. So people are picking yellow because sometimes they like that trend more, looks better on their skin tone, or they like the class of it, like whatever it is, but I have seen a lot of people picking yellow gold in the fashion jewelry sector, and I think that's going to come over to engagement rings pretty soon. And halos are still popular, but I think they're a preference at this point. You either love them or you don't, But a halo has a great purpose. It makes your center stone look about 20% larger. Yep. Yeah. So if you have a budget that doesn't get you, say, the size you wanted or the look you wanted, a halo is a great way to get that added sparkle and diameter on your hand.
It's just so interesting because, like you said, it's like fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, look, diamonds are classic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just are.
Yeah.
But there is trends.
Yeah, definitely.
And, like, not everybody's going to fit in that trend. But a trend's a trend because it's the majority at the moment. Mm-hmm. But it's just funny because I was wondering if you were going to tell me that, like, princess cut's coming back or pear. Because I'm waiting for the pear to come back.
Here and there. It's definitely rising up again. I would say the biggest trend I've seen right now for engagement rings, though, is very, very thin bands. So they want a tiny gold, platinum, whatever it is, like setting. So the mounting is like the rest of your ring, and then your center stone is in the middle. Everybody wants that so thin because they want it, makes the diamond look bigger. Mm-hmm. But I would caution people with that because you can have a lot of different pros and cons to that. So one thing
Go over that, please, if you don't mind.
So if your center is too large, which, great, everybody likes a big diamond, but if your center is too big for the band, it will spin on your finger a lot. So your ring's going to end up upside down if that band can't support what's in the center. The crown, the part that holds your stone in place, if that doesn't have proper structure around it, your stone can come loose pretty often, your prongs can bend easier, things like that. The setting itself, if it's not all right, so this is going to be a little bit tricky to explain, but the width of your band, so if you're looking at your hand, the width that you see is not the same as the width off your finger. So if you tip your hand and we're looking at it through the side, that height there. That height is important because that's what keeps your ring strong. So especially if you have platinum, that ring has to be a little bit thicker because platinum is softer and will bend easier. If, we wear our rings all the time pretty much. So if you are going to the gym, opening car doors, like things like that where you're closing your hand, your ring can kind of oval out if that's not thick enough. So this thin band trend is fantastic. There's tons of them online. I see them all the time. But we try to make them in a way that gives you the look you want but the structure you need.
So it's funny you brought that up because that happened. So I have a solitaire and I have a thin band. And what you guys did, and you educated me on this. See, I know this.
You're a professional.
Well, it's only because I went to Baxter's.
That's right.
Is we put a little bump on here. So that way, because what was happening was my ring was spinning.
Right.
Because the diamond obviously was larger and for the band. So what's this bump called?
Like a speed bump.
Speed bump.
Yeah.
And therefore it doesn't
Yep. So
Turn.
speed bumps, there's these little balls that we put inside the ring. And if you go anywhere else that I've seen, they put little balls inside the ring. We make a speed bump for the inside so it's comfortable, because those balls, if you're doing anything, if there's two of them like on the bottom corners of your ring, they'll hurt a little bit. They're uncomfortable. So we actually like developed and casted these little bumps that are like you go over a speed bump, and that's exactly what it's like. And they're so comfortable. I've had one in my ring, and sometimes people have a knuckle, so it's really easy to make the ring fit a little bit better without having it so hard. They're a great invention.
I've never felt mine.
Exactly.
Ever. So with that said, let's kind of dive in a little bit now about, you started to touch upon it, but it was one of the other questions that our Instagram followers asked, was just to kind of go over a little bit about gold, platinum, white, yellow, rose gold, pros and cons.
Yes. Okay, so your gold options. You've got yellow, white, and rose. So yellow and rose both require very little maintenance. So yellow gold is how it comes out of the ground naturally. So you're going to have 18, 14, and so in the U.S. at least, you'll see 18 and 14 karat most popular. 14 karat being the most common, I would say, and then 18 karat having a pretty strong presence as well. It's very rare that you'll see like a 22 or 24 karat gold ring, because they're soft and you don't really need that for your engagement ring. But 14 karat and 18 karat are both great. 18 karat's going to be a little bit yellower in comparison to 14 karat because it's purer. Rose gold is going to pretty much stay the color that it is. The only thing with rose gold is that we've found rings that are made at different times can look a little bit different, and everybody's rose gold kind of has different tones to it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's been harder to match from what I've seen. Most of the time, if you have a 14 karat rose gold ring and there are diamonds in it, like the gold is close and you can kind of get it, but getting them from the same company, same manufacturer is kind of
maybe
a big
at the same
deal.
time too.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, but if you came to us and picked just say a Baxter's custom ring, we would make sure that we casted it at the same place that we made the wedding ring, the engagement ring as the wedding band, so that they matched. That's what I've noticed with rose gold. And then white gold, very popular, is a great price point, same as yellow pretty much. You won't have a big cost difference between those two. But white gold over time will start to turn yellow. So one thing with COVID especially is that everybody is using more hand sanitizer, washing your hands, being more aware of that kind of thing. So everybody's noticing their rings are turning yellow faster because rhodium, so all gold comes out of the ground yellow. If you think of a cup of coffee, right? So say that that's your gold. And then you take some cream and you pour a little bit in, it makes it a little whiter. You pour a little bit more, it makes it a little whiter. So those are kind of the alloys that go into white gold. And they used to use nickel, which would keep white gold really white. But they don't do that anymore because so many people had a reaction to it. So some people who have gotten their rings redone are like, oh, my ring never turned yellow before. Well, it didn't. It had nickel, and now it doesn't. So it's a little bit different. But regardless, your ring will turn yellow no matter what. And it's different for everybody how long that takes. Sometimes it's 6 months. Sometimes it's a year. Depends what you do. I always say anybody in the health field, like nurses, doctors, things like that, should go platinum because they're
constantly washing their hands.
Yeah, their rings are going to turn yellow way faster than, say, yours or mine. White gold, you can turn it back white. So once it starts to turn yellow, you just come in and see us. We polish it, and what we do is called rhodium finish. So we kind of dip your ring in a solution that makes that bright white come through again. And that's the part that's wearing off over time. So on that note, platinum is a little bit more expensive depending on what you're looking for, but it's well worth it in the end, especially now that the price difference has come down from what it used to be. Platinum is a hypoallergenic metal, so if you have any sensitivities, any issues like that, it's a great choice. And it will stay white. So it gets a little bit scratched easier, but those scratches can come out with a simple polishing, and it won't turn yellow over time. It's stronger, it lasts longer, it's a little bit more durable in some senses, but it is softer. So there are definitely pros and cons to each, and you have to pick the one that makes the most sense for you. Like you were saying how you noticed inclusions more than color, say. Some people, those scratches bother them way more than the yellowing. So it's really a personal preference again, and I'm going to say that a lot because it really is, and I don't want to tell someone, oh, go platinum, it's better. Maybe not for you. So jewelry is very personal for everybody that picks their own things, and we want to make sure that we're serving them the best possible.
And I also think it's really important for people who are listening that, there's a common thread of what you're talking about is that it's all personal choice, but they need to be educated to make sure that they make the right choice. So one of the things that you guys do with your clients is you go through all the pros and the cons of each and let them pick out. I did have one of the listeners ask for me to ask you if there's any – I know that you talked about that they could bring their ring into you to clean, but is there any home remedies that you recommend that people do?
So it's very easy to clean your ring at home, but the one part that we have that is very hard to get at home is the steam cleaner, and that's what really gives it like that, sparkly shine. But I actually did a tutorial on our Instagram page, so if you go and find that, it's on there. Right when COVID happened, I was like, people might want to know how to clean their rings at home. So honestly, if you get a soft bristle toothbrush and then get some warm soapy water and just like gently kind of brush your ring, that will get any of those lotions, shampoos, things like that kind of out of there and make it look nice and bright again. Rubbing alcohol is another one that kind of can, if there's something really stuck on your ring, that would be good to use. And we also have, you can get little jewelry cleaners and things like that will just, you can kind of let your ring sit in and soak. But honestly, a little bit of dish soap and a soft toothbrush and some gentle brushing will do the trick.
Another little home tip that I learned off of Instagram that I didn't know this, and this is kind of getting a little off topic, but it's home tips, is if your ring is stuck.
Windex.
Yes!
Windex.
So I've gained a little weight. I just had a baby.
The ring shrunk. I always say the ring shrunk, not you.
So my ring shrunk.
Yes.
So Windex.
Yes. I always say My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the movie, the dad's always like, put some Windex on it. It's true because anytime people come in with their rings stuck, we can cut them off if it comes to that point, but we're like, have you tried Windex? And they kind of look at us like, what? I'm like, no, really, like Windex. It's like just soapy enough. It will not hurt your ring. It's comes right off your hand. It doesn't burn. Like there's no downside to it. You just spray a little bit on, and it's just soapy enough that sometimes it does the trick.
So there you go, people listening. Windex, and then also hop on Baxter's Instagram page.
Yes.
Go back right around when COVID started to try to find the video about home remedies about cleaning your ring. All right, so before we take our break, I have one more question for you. Can we talk a little bit about men's bands? Can we talk about materials and maybe just give a quick background about the different types of bands that you're seeing out there for men?
So trends for men's bands, I would definitely say, are towards darker colors, like black and gray and gunmetal colors, things like that. So those metals or those colors come in certain metals, which are not what we call precious metals. So precious metals are gold and platinum for the most part, and sterling silver if that applies. But these darker colors come in things like tantalum, tungsten, carbon fiber, all these alternative metals. Alternative metals are great for the color and sometimes the price point, but there is a downside because they cannot be sized. So if, like you said, your ring shrinks or you happen to gain a little weight, you break a knuckle, something like that, the rings can't be adjusted the way we can with gold and platinum. So if you want a forever ring, something that will go, through life with you, up and down, size the thing, all of those things, you have to pick one that's adjustable, which would be gold or platinum. Sterling silver we don't recommend because it can tarnish and things like that, so for a wedding band is not the best choice. But as far as carbon fiber, and we have a new metal actually called tantalum, which has been very popular. It's kind of like a light gray kind of color. It's not as harsh as the black, but it's not as bright as the silver, so or white gold. So there's a lot of in-betweens there. But I would say that the darker rings have definitely shown some popularity for men. But when we tell them that, they're like, I didn't realize it can't be sized. And they take a look at platinum, actually. Because I would say satin finish is what we see the most requested by our customers. And platinum over time, as it scratches a little bit easier, actually enhances that finish. So it ends up being like a nice, duller men's band because they don't want the way that we want sparkle. They tend to not pick that. But like I said, every guy is different. So I've seen, we sold custom diamond men's bands. We've sold plain gold ones. But I see that men typically like a little bit of something different, like high polished edges, satin finish center, something a little bit different in color. Sometimes it goes with their watch. Sometimes they don't wear any jewelry. It's really very dependent on the kind of person they are.
I got another question for you going back to women's bands. How often should they check their bands for loose diamonds?
So we recommend at least every 6 months because, that's enough to, if you're pretty gentle on your stuff, to just kind of get it checked periodically. I say when the seasons change, so like when you're noticing you're changing your wardrobe, things like that, just come in and have your rings checked. If you happen to whack it or drop it or something like that, that's a unique instance where I would come in and get it inspected. But minimum, I would say every 6 months or so. And if that does nothing else, at least it's clean,
Right.
So, but we inspect everything before we clean it, so we'll always tell you if something's chipped or broken or loose, and we can repair it for you too in-house.
And that's also too another bonus of working with a local fine jeweler.
Definitely.
Because you can go in, not only get it clean, but get it checked.
Yeah.
And you'll let us know.
Yeah, and that's not only for things purchased with us, so you can bring any jewelry that you have in, and we'll happily do that.
So before we take our break, I know I keep talking about we have to take a
okay.
break. So before we take our break, I did want to ask you one question. This is for a dear friend of mine who I told her I would ask you this question. So if you're listening, you know who this is for. She wants to know. She said that she's always wondered if she should add a spacer between her diamond ring and her wedding ring. So that way it reduces the likelihood for her diamonds to rub together. So can you answer that question for her?
Yeah. So depending on the setting of your stones on your engagement ring and wedding band, there can be a couple answers. So first off, I would say that, if you're concerned about the rubbing, so when your rings spin next to each other, that's what's going to make them, loosen or chip and things like that. Having that spacer is kind of going to do the same thing because it's just a different ring to rub against, not necessarily a better ring. So the easiest solution if you're concerned about that rubbing back and forth is to fuse your rings together, which I know we did to your ring too. So it kind of just makes everything stay right where it is, and there's no risk that those stones are going to rub against each other and be chipping each other. If your setting does not have an overhang like that, then a spacer is great, or you can just leave the rings the way they are. But I think it's really dependent on how your diamonds are set in the other bands.
Yeah, so exactly like you said, that you guys soldered mine together because I have what they call a two-prong diamonds where the diamonds touch.
Yeah.
So ultimately my wedding band, my engagement band would be rubbing together and chipping off the diamonds.
Exactly.
So mine is soldered, but you can't even tell.
No, you can't tell. And honestly, some people get bothered when one spins and the other doesn't. So they're always lined up. You know what I mean? So soldering is a great benefit, just to make your set look the way it does, all the time.
I also, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I wanted an infinity ring, diamonds all around.
Yeah.
But you guys educated me that that's probably not the best thing, especially when you use your hands a lot. So, I have, what's it called, 2/3, where the diamonds go all the way around, but then stop right underneath my fingers.
like 3/4 of the way around.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
2/3, same thing. But so eternity bands are great. Everybody loves them because when they spin, you don't notice. And it's funny because if you're wearing them all the time, it's not the same stones on the bottom constantly. So if you are using your hands a lot, you're not hitting exactly the same one every time. So they're fine. The only downside to those, kind of like the men's bands, is I can't size them. So if you are the type of person who is maybe having children or your body fluctuates a lot.
Or the ring shrinks.
Yes, it does. The ring does shrink. Or even from summer to winter. There is, so many reasons why our hands might be more swollen than the day before. And if your body fluctuates at all and your ring's feeling too tight, we actually have to remake the ring and add some stones or take away some stones. So that little spacer bar on the bottom of your ring just allows us maybe a half a size of capability to kind of go up or down a little bit. So that flexibility is nice.
All right, my friend. With that said, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back.
Sounds good.
I appreciate you being here. And hey, if you like what you're hearing, I encourage you to check out our website at sarahzarella.com. And don't forget, you can actually subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. And I would so appreciate if you left a fabulous review on Apple Podcast. Even better, share it with a friend. It's a great way to show your support. And now, let's get back to the episode.
All right, welcome back, podcast friends. So we're going to get right into a little bit about gifts. So if you are listening for someone that you know that's getting married or you're getting married, this is going to be the part of the segment where we're going to go over wedding gifts, what to get him, what to get her, anniversary gifts, milestone gifts. But before we get into that, I want to ask one more question that one of the listeners wanted to know. she was a little bit curious about the prongs. If yellow prongs would make your stone look yellow.
Yeah, great question. So in short, no, it will not. But actually, we recommend that if you have a warmer stone, so I would say maybe, well, it could really be anything, but I would say below J, so like KLM, something like that. Yellow prongs can actually help your stone, so it will make everything feel more brighter. So if you have a warmer stone and you wanted yellow gold, then keeping the prongs yellow is a great way to go. If you have a higher color stone and want yellow gold, sometimes we recommend that the prongs be white. So I like two-tone with platinum and yellow because, as we talked about before, that white gold will turn yellow over time. So I think the platinum wears really well with the with the yellow gold in a two-tone setting. So you could do platinum prongs on a yellow gold band and get like kind of the benefit of the color of your stone being whiter. That platinum will bring out the whiteness, but you don't want it to contrast. So if you have a warmer stone, setting it in white will actually make it feel yellower than yellow, So you kind of want to match the color to the prongs.
Makes total sense. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And then wedding bands, it's not as important. So it's really just for that larger center because you're going to see color more. If you have smaller stones, like typical band quality would be like GH, which kind of matches above and below. So you don't have to worry about that too much. But we can like custom make a band with different colors to match your center if there's a different category you want to be in.
So what about flush settings?
Yeah, so flush settings, so we call it like flush fit. So basically that means that where your crown, so the part that holds your center stone, meets the band, allows for a wedding band to sit up flush against it. Some people like the curved bands, but not everybody wants to have one. So for the men or the ladies out there who are buying the engagement ring, if you get a flush fitting setting, then your partner, when they go to pick a wedding band, has a much easier time. They don't have to have a curve or a gap in between their wedding band and their engagement ring. They can just pick any band that they want. If they want to have a curve, then it's fine, but they don't have to have one. So I definitely recommend, when possible, getting a flush fitting setting, which is a majority of what we sell because having the options for the wedding bands just makes it that much more fun and easy to shop.
I would think so. That's
Yes.
a good little tip.
Yes, there you go.
All right, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about wedding day gifts.
Very nice.
I had the pleasure of always seeing so many fabulous wedding day gifts because obviously I'm there and they're opening them up. So let's talk about them. Let's give the listeners some ideas, some trends, things that you've been seeing.
Definitely.
Let's throw it out for men and women.
That's right. So sometimes people don't even realize that this is a thing, but on that special day, you want something to remember the day by. So for men, we recommend watches most of the time because you can engrave something nice on the back. It may be, a very special, nice watch that he might wear on more occasions, or if he's a watch guy, then he might wear it all the time. But regardless, he'll always remember when he got that watch and what it was for. So we carry Breitling watches, and now actually we just got IWC watches, which we're very excited about. So there's a huge variety of watches to choose from in our store that in all price points and styles and things. We have Bell & Ross, Raymond Weil, like just a bunch of different men's watches that can really make the occasion feel special. Plus, even if he wears an Apple Watch, I see people say that all the time, like, oh, he wears an Apple Watch. There's something about having that special watch.
It's so funny you say that because so I obviously got into the trend and started wearing Apple Watches.
Yeah.
But you know what? Recently, I took off my Apple Watch and I've been wearing my really nice watch.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And there's just something about it. And honestly, I haven't put the Apple Watch back on. I'm so connected 24/7.
Yep.
I still keep my phone on me that I just put that Apple Watch aside. There's something about the fine jewelry, just that piece. It's just nice.
Well, I think for men, too, they don't have as many things that they can choose from as women for jewelry. We have earrings, necklace, bracelet, pendant, all these kinds of different things. But men pretty much have, their band, maybe a bracelet if they like that, a chain, and a watch. So it's essentially, the main ones that we see. So I think a watch is a fantastic wedding day present. Other things I've seen, sometimes personalized cufflinks for the nicer shirts that he might wear. Occasional tie clips, not so much, but that's definitely a unique gift. I've done dog tags with, a parent's signature engraved who may have passed or things like that, very sentimental gifts. And we can do all kinds of things like that. We can take handwriting and make it into an engraving and put it on pretty much anything. And then I've also seen chains. So like if he wears a chain all the time, getting him an upgraded, nicer chain. If he doesn't wear a chain, getting him something with a unique pendant on it or things like that. So watches, I would say, is most popular. And then after that, it gets into like personalized about him type of gifts.
You know, my brain just went into that direction, and I got to make sure my husband doesn't listen to this episode until after Christmas. I'm going to come in and see you because you just talked about like the dog tag that you could do with like a signature from the like a family member. I have been sitting here. So my husband's birthday is a week before Christmas. So I have to come up with a really nice Christmas gift and a really nice birthday gift. And I've been trying to figure out what to get him. I think I came up with an idea. Yeah. Can I take like my little girl's like handwriting and say like, I love you, Daddy, and make something for him with that? Ooh, I'm coming in to see you. Yep. And it's so funny because one of my friends and I we were talking about things to do for the holiday gifts. That's what we're going to do. But she actually, I'm going to ask this question for her. So this is for you, my friend, and you know who you are. She is looking for like a statement piece, another band. She's at a milestone for her marriage at a certain year mark, and she wants to be treated with another third band. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. Stackable bands. Yeah. Like, she was kind of thinking maybe something unique. What have you seen? What's some trends out there?
Well, so wedding day gifts for ladies tend to be... Sorry, yes. Well, no, but so that's okay because it kind of goes into each other. So diamond studs are a huge popular one because they can wear those, all the time. Because you want something that is special, but that you can also wear again. Because if you only wear it once a year, well, what does that do for you? You want to be able to get your use out of it. So diamond studs are huge, and tennis bracelets, I would say, are the most popular because they're very classic.
For the women.
And no matter what her dress looks like, they go with the dress. So if you try to buy a bride a necklace, you don't know necessarily what her neckline looks like. So if you want her to wear it on the day of or something like that, then studs or a bracelet are a great way to go because no matter what her dress looks like, most of the time it will go.
Also, too, for those men out there that are listening, maybe when you're shopping for that engagement ring or the band, maybe you can have her peruse we
have wish lists, so she can come in and he can come in and you can pick out exactly what you want, put it on the wish list, maybe a couple options.
Because she knows her neckline.
Exactly. She knows her neckline. That's right. And he knows what watch he likes. So if you come in, you can put it on a wish list and just even tell your spouse, like, okay, it's there. There are a couple options. Pick the one you like, and I'm happy with any of them. And it kind of makes the shopping easy. And that's good for, any holiday, but especially wedding days when that surprise is a little bit more important. But as you mentioned, so milestone anniversary. So I would think, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15, and so on are kind of the big ones that we see. And every anniversary is important, but when you're looking for that special gift to really commemorate the anniversary. For a band, so stackable bands is another trend that we've definitely seen. So some brides start off with 2 twin bands or just a different kind of asymmetrical stack. But for a anniversary band, you can add it to your stack or go with a right hand ring. So we have bands that are, big enough, hefty enough that they stand alone really nicely. So I've seen some people go for a second ring to kind of add to their overall look rather than compete with their engagement ring if you want a bigger look. If you just want something to add to your stack, a twin band is a great idea. So something that already matches, so it won't compete. It will just kind of complement what you already have. Or just go totally crazy and get something completely different. And I am a big fan of the asymmetrical. So having your engagement ring with 2 very different bands beneath it, or having two-tone, get one yellow, one white, have one princess cut, well, maybe not princess cut, but have one, emerald cut band going east-west and have an oval band. Like you can do all kinds of different fancy shapes and stones.
I've been eyeing the emerald cut bands.
I love emerald cut bands.
My birthday's in May, so I like emerald, but I've been eyeing the emerald cut, and I actually told her, I sent her a picture because I see a lot of bands come through, and I sent her a picture of it. You know what? So maybe for those listeners out there, if you are somebody that's looking for something for a milestone piece, just come in and speak with you guys because you guys can do custom pieces.
Yep. Well, and everybody wants something different too because it has to be practical for your everyday life because you want to wear it and enjoy it. So I would say that most of the time we see people get larger right-hand rings or something fun to add to their existing stack.
I love it. So what other ideas, trends, and tips out there have you thought about or seen that's happening for people who are looking? Because one of the things that you guys do is you start with the couple getting married, and then you continue on with them for milestones, and then also too, you'll get in their children and going on and moving forward. So what other trends and tips can you, for any fine jewelry pieces out there for our listeners?
Yeah. So as I said in the beginning, my grandparents started this business, so they've helped people who are closer to their age. My dad helped their kids. Now I'm helping their kids. So it's really a generational business. And, we only have one location. It's a very tight-knit group. We're not all directly family, but it's like a family there. We're all very close, and it's a great environment to be a part of. So our main focus is always comfortable, trusting relationships, which is why people bring their children to come there. They're like, oh, even people who live out of state, like their parents have been like, no, you have to go to Baxter's to get the ring. Or the son will ask the dad, and he's like, yeah, but you have to go to Baxter's to get the ring. So it's really funny. We love seeing that. And, we love that jewelry becomes a part of the life. So you're right. We see people get engaged. We see them come back for the bands. And then before you know it, we see them come back for a mother's gift because they just had a baby. And it's like, that's so exciting and fulfilling for us because we get to be a part of it.
Like push presents.
Push presents, yes. So when you're having a baby, that baby comes out, and that's a great excuse for a twin band or a right-hand ring. When my sister was born, my mom got a 3-stone right-hand ring. People always want the twin band. That's a great addition because now there's usually 3 of you with the first baby, so 3 rings, 3 people. It's kind of makes sense. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Birthstone jewelry is very popular still, but that is a little tricky to pre-plan depending on your due date because you don't want to pick the birthstone and if the baby could be born in one or the other month,
Right. But it's a nice gift for a Mother's Day gift afterwards.
Fantastic
or
gifts,
birthday.
yes.
I mean, you talk about push presents. You want to know what I got for my push present?
Yeah.
I have had 3 kids. You want to know what I just got for my last one?
Yeah.
An ice machine.
The practical things in life,
But I didn't want that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was who wants an ice machine? That was him.
Yeah.
It's a nice ice machine. It's like the hospital ice machine.
Right.
But I literally
we're talking different kind of ice here, though. We want some. Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to pull that around. I'm like, hey,
go.
listen, people, if you're listeners, don't get your wife an ice machine. Go
get her some diamonds. Yeah. But that's we have lockets. You can put a picture of the baby. We have little baby feet charms you can engrave. I mean, there's so many gifts, and we can help you with all of those ideas. If you just come in and you say, I don't know what to get. Like, here's my event. Here's what's happening in my life that I need a gift for. Like, we have these ideas to give you.
So how about planning ahead, though? How long do pieces take to come in?
So average for ordering or custom making something, I would say, is about 4 to 6 weeks. And right now, with COVID and everything, I would err on the side of caution and always order early. So I'm really glad this podcast is coming out, early November because we're encouraging people to shop for Christmas holiday now. Because if you want to order anything, it takes me at least 4 weeks, if not longer, to get it, which basically puts us at Christmas.
Okay, so I'm coming in to see you this week about my idea for this Christmas.
Yes, definitely worth it.
So really, realistically, if someone's looking for something for Christmas, they need to start coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
They should, because the other part of that, too, is even if it's not something custom made, it's hard for us to replenish our inventory at this point. So a lot of what we have in store is the most part what we're going to have for holiday. We might get a couple other things in closer to Christmas, but the best selection is now. So coming into shop, you can put it on layaway. You can put a little money down on it, leave it till Christmas if you just want to get a head start. But you'll have the most selection to choose from now.
You know what? That's something we haven't talked about is financing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you'll have a piece for everybody's budget because you can work with people's budgets, and there's all custom. But let's talk a little bit about financing.
Absolutely.
What options of payment do you have for people?
So, like I said, we're all about comfortable, trusting relationships. So we're not a commission-based store, which is kind of unique in the jewelry industry. So it doesn't matter what your budget is when you come in. We want to get you something that fulfills what you're looking for. It doesn't matter the price tag. So if you come in, we have layaway as one option. So you can put a little bit of money down on whatever item you're choosing. The percentages can vary, but you let us know what's comfortable for you and we'll make sure it works. And then you can pay a little bit at a time towards when you want to pick it up, or you can just leave it all till the end and pay it out when you want to pick it up. It's really flexible as far as the layaway goes. You just kind of have to talk to us and figure out the best situation. But we do have financing as well. So we have a credit card option in the store that you can apply for. And, it's 12 months interest-free for anything over $1,000 that you finance, and you have to get approved. And we do that in store with you while you're there. But That's a great tool for someone who wants to kind of spread those payments out a little bit but needs the item sooner. So you're welcome to apply for that, and you can use it. It's only for Baxter, so it's through Synchrony Financial, which like Jordan's does it and like other places too. But the credit cards are individual to the stores. So, but people have come in and like put the engagement ring on the financing and then put the wedding bands on it, and you get a fresh 12 months every time you make a purchase. So it spreads it out really nicely.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
So before we get into the wrap-up question, I got a quick question for you. What about people who have like inherited stones, maybe some pieces like gold pieces or whatnot that they don't really love?
Yeah.
But what can they do with that? That's just sitting in their jewelry box.
Yeah. The worst thing to do is have jewelry you're not wearing, because what good is it doing in your jewelry box, you know? So we can take something old and turn it into something brand new. So whether there's different levels to that. So if you want to take some stones and make it into a new piece of jewelry and just maybe, I don't know, say you have a yellow gold band, you want it white, that's an easy, we make a new setting just like that, reset it. If you've got earrings, a necklace, a bracelet, some colored stones, all these different varieties, we can work up a bunch of different designs that offer you options. So we can try to put them all in one. You can make 4 or 5 different things. You can make a necklace. There's levels of customization that we can go to make anything possible.
One of the listeners asked a question. They wanted to know that they were previously married, so they have their bands from their previous wedding, but it's nothing that they're going to give to their children because they did not have children at that wedding.
Yeah.
At that marriage. So it's just kind of sitting in a safe.
Yeah.
So what can they do with those bands?
So some people will choose to sell them, which is an option that people are comfortable with because they may not want those rings anymore. But diamonds work the best when you reset them, because you never get the full value if you try to sell it, because we don't sell estate jewelry because you get the wear and tear of the rings as well. So like as prongs wear down, like we don't want to sell you a ring that has worn prongs just because we don't want to give that to you. So we reset the stones into something else or something like that. So if someone came in with those...
Or melt the gold into something else, right?
Yeah, so we can't use gold in a direct... Like, I can't melt your ring and make another ring because there's not enough by the time I get pure gold and redo it and things like that.
Gotcha.
So, but we give you credit for it. So we would give you credit for the gold towards the custom, and we can turn the stones into anything. So, like, turning... just say you had 2 wedding bands and you wanted to make a pair of cluster earrings. Like, that's a great use for them, and then they don't feel like wedding bands anymore. Eventually you forget that they even were wedding bands. So it's a great way to, if the sentiment is there and maybe it's someone who passed, it's a great way to get the memory without having to wear the ring. People do pass it on to children, and we can make those into totally different things, pendants for wedding days, a bunch of different stuff. So it's very dependent on why the marriage wasn't, why it didn't work, because people choose to do different things with the rings, and we're there to help through all of it.
All right. Well, that said, it's time for our wrap-up question. I can't believe we're already here. I could sit here and talk about jewelry all day long.
I do talk about it all day.
You know what we need to do is we'll have you back on our show.
Anytime.
Maybe we should have you back on our show around March.
Yeah.
You'd probably be really busy, but maybe we should because
I'll make time.
Because it's going to be wedding month.
That's right.
Yes.
And spring is huge for weddings, so happy to.
Yeah. We're gonna circle back on that one.
Okay.
All right. So for our wrap-up question, what are some key points that our listeners should know to be sure that they are buying and working with the right place for them and a quality jeweler?
So, great question. So I would say the 3 main things that come to mind are being comfortable, making sure there's value in what you're purchasing, and that your sales associate is trying to educate you with what they're selling you. So, being comfortable comes down to a few things. Are you comfortable spending your money here? Is this something that you're happy with? Would you come back to us for the next thing that you need? Is this a place that you're happy shopping, that you would send your kids to, things like that? And that's our main focus in store. And you'll see from our reviews online and things like that, that's what we strive for, and I think it comes across, with our sales associates. Value in what you're purchasing. So everything is different. As we've talked about many times in this podcast, like there's no right or wrong with jewelry. It really is what works best for you, and what works best for one person is very different from the next. And I love seeing that, because no 2 engagement rings are the same. Every time we sell them, wedding bands, anything that you can think of, what one person values is different than the next. So making sure that you feel that your money is getting you the best thing that you're looking for, I think is important. Whether it's diamond studs, a silver bracelet, or an engagement ring, it goes, all ways. And then education. So I always tell my customers too that even if you're not buying something, if you have a question, if you have, that you need something answered, just reach out to me because I'm here as a resource just as much as I am a sales associate. So we are not just here to sell you something. Like I said, we don't work on commission. So it's our job to educate you as a consumer on the do's and don'ts of engagement rings, pros and cons of things, because a lot of it is online now. So people are going on and they're getting educated on their own. But sometimes, like any industry, I would say there are things that can be deceiving, things you may not realize. Lab-growns are one thing, which I'll just touch on, is that lab-grown diamonds are entering the market now, and we've had a lot of requests, and there is a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of things that can confuse you and guide you to the wrong way and make it seem like you're getting a really good deal, but you might not be. So those are the kinds of things that we're happy to just help you through, and hopefully it ends up in a purchase and you're happy choosing us, but if it doesn't, we're here as a tool for you just as much as a jewelry store. So if those three things are all checked off, you feel comfortable, you feel there's value, and you feel like you've been educated on what you're purchasing to the level you want to be, then there's no reason you shouldn't shop there again.
And I'm a walking testimonial for you all. I really believe in quality of service. Yeah. It's just a huge, huge component of success. I think in my business, it's just quality of service. And I can tell you, there's a reason why I went with you all. I know many jewelers, and there's a reason why. So with that said, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Wedding Secrets Unveiled. You helped our listeners become one step closer to their journey of a stress-free wedding planning. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Baxter's Jewelry, 200 Jefferson Boulevard in Warwick, Rhode Island. We are actually in the process of expanding, so if you come soon, you might see a big chain fence, and that will be gone eventually, but we're growing, and we're excited to grow with our customers and just continue the generational service that we've been providing. So I'm excited to meet some of you. Let us know if you heard the podcast when you come in. I would love to meet you. And if you have any questions at all, Sarah has my contact information. I'm sure it will be linked in the podcast too, but we're here to help.
Yeah, and so for our listeners, we'll actually have all of Baxter's information on our episode and our show notes, which they can find on our blog and our website page at sarahzarella.com/podcast.
Perfect. I'm so excited to meet everyone.
We'll see you back in March.
Yes, I'll be here.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Wedding Secrets Unveiled. I appreciate you being here. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, I want to tell you something. I encourage you to check out our website at sarahzarella.com. We love photographing while having fun, of course. Check out our podcast page on our website for our show notes along with upcoming episodes with your local wedding experts. Listen in as we help you plan your epic event. And don't forget that you can actually subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. I would so appreciate if you left a review for us on Apple Podcasts. Even better, share it with a friend. It's a great way to show your support and let us know what you think. If you know any wedding experts that would like to be a guest, we have a link directly on our website where they can let us know. Thank you for listening.